Hi, this is Kim Pinkney and welcome to my channel. Well, this is October 20th and I just want to show where I am right now with my Inktober project on a t-shirt. I decided to put it on a t-shirt because I want to be able to not only show off that I did Inktober, but it's kind of like a trophy, yeah, and it's fun. And I can wear it out and all kinds of wonderful things. So I haven't been able to color in everything, and I found that I might not want to. Sometimes a little bit of black and white, and then a splash of color, and then another black and white. I don't know. It just kind of gives it, like, I don't know. Anyway, let me go ahead and show you where I am so far. Just doing a quick recap. This is because I've colored in some things on the bus and off camera, things like that. But this one right here was day 1, which was poisonous. And it was pretty much one of those blue-ringed octopuses, and I just made them huge. And I have that on the sleeve. I'm going to have day 1 and day 31 on a sleeve. So this is day 1. Day 2 was Tranquil. And it's pretty much just a woman just enjoying this lotus blossom, and it's giving off some sort of tranquil vibes and scents and things like that. And she's covered with roses, just beautiful smelly things to just put you in that mood. Day 3 was Roasted, and I made that into the queen, a queen who does not like to be roasted. And the sign is with a jester that says, "Do not roast the queen or she'll roast you." And she's making the symbol where she's going to off with his head type of thing, and she's pointing at you, so you got to watch yourself. I may end up coloring this in because I have fallen in love with glitter. And on day 4 was Spell, and I was going to do like a Beyonce type of thing, and then I started coming up with this idea of doing divas, and I'm like, oh man. So next Inktober will be like a solid theme of divas doing the words in some way, shape, or form. Someone that you can recognize, whether it be a cartoon or whatnot. But she was going to cast a love spell, and I'm using Arteza markers and Arteza fabric paints and some of my other glitter glues and things like that. And it looks fabulous on this shirt. So I am probably going to go glitter overboard on this shirt. Day 5 was chicken. So I drew a rake or a rooster, a guy in a chicken costume. And I wanted him to be fabulous. So he's kind of glittery in some places as well. It's like, this is how you catch the chicks, you know, looking good. You wish your rooster was fine like me type of thing, you know. And I tried to use some Zentangle motifs in it and stuff like that. I love Zentangle. I love glitter. And I'm drawing more people of color just because I don't see a lot of it happening. Let's see. Day 5 was... I can't remember what day 5 was. I apologize. Let's see. Day 5 was... Okay, day 5 was chicken. Day 6 was drooling. And I didn't like... the man witch idea that I had here. I liked it, but then I free-handed it, and I was on the bus, and I'm like, you know what, I could probably do better. So basically what I was coming up with was a shadow creature that was going to eat men, or if you ever had a sloppy Joe, and he's drooling and things like that. So instead of the meat and sauces just dripping off, it's just blood and men and limbs and stuff, swords sticking out of it. But it's too small to get any really good details. So if something like this, I should have made much bigger. And so I decided instead to incorporate drooling into my Inktober logo. I wanted my Inktober logo to be kind of like off to my heart area, you know, off to the side and the front. And it's pretty much a monster holding my hand and his mouth. It's drooling, it's bleeding. And onto the Inktober logo, you know, kind of dripping on and drooling onto the Inktober logo. And it was kind of like an inspiration for me so that, you know, Kim don't punk out. You know, even if some of my drawings are unfinished at this moment, keep drawing. If something holds me back, it's okay. Go catch up. Keep drawing. Don't let a monster take off with your hand and not show anything for it. So that was my day 6 for drooling. Exhausted is one of my favorites here. It didn't start out to be my favorite, but the more thought that I put into things, the more times that I take, the better the image comes out, instead of just being impromptu. Like this impromptu one with drooling could have been a lot better if I would have just stopped, taken a time out, and tried to plan it a bit. But even though I plan, still things come out different than what I planned. And it happens. Things evolve. This one right here, Exhausted, was just going to be like a warrior with someone on his back, or just a warrior basically that was just tired. Well, this warrior changed into a girl riding piggyback, or horseback in this case, and my unicorn is tired. And it's like, what do unicorns do? You know, well, they ride, they're rainbows and they're sparkly and all that stuff. So I have one who's not quite happy with being the mount of a spoiled little girl, and he doesn't want to move, and he's tired. He's got these gray circles under his eyes. He is tired. He's slumped over, and she's pulling on his hair. She's pulling on his mane and pointing, "Let's go." So, and it's funny, when I drew this, I was watching a YouTube video, or listening to a YouTube video about ghosts and stuff, so it's kind of funny that it came out as lighthearted as it did. Ghosts and lighthouses or something like that video. Let's see, that was Exhausted. Day 8 was Star, and it's definitely not done. I wanted to try to get a contrast going between a dark tone and something very light and bright, and I was trying to get the darkest tones that I could possibly get for skin with the colors that I have, because I'm using Arteza markers, fabric markers. I'm using what is this stuff called? Marvi Ochita fabric markers, the graffiti fabric markers, just tulip fabric markers, and I just wanted to see how dark I can go. And so far, at this moment, this is as dark as I've gone, with kind of like the reddish colors. This tone right here, it's kind of hard to see with my video, but it's like not burgundy, but it is brown, but it's like a reddish brown. It's a warm brown. And then I used the darker browns of coffee and chocolate from the Arteza. And then while I was on the bus, because I had drawn it on the bus, I saw a lady with these curls in her hair. They were only on her forehead, and I'm like, you know what, this will be kind of cute with it all over, but it kind of looks like snakes. So I'm like, so I'll see what I can do with this one. I'll probably make her hair like purplish or something like that. It's just like lilac or something like that. I don't know, haven't decided yet. And then I have her hand here blowing bubbles. And then 8, that was 8. 9 was Precious. So I drew a little girl who was trick-or-treating. And ultimately, this was supposed to be a Halloweenish type shirt. So I had came up with prompts for myself. There were 31 things that reminded me of Halloween. And but for some reason, I didn't follow very many of those. Just in case the prompts that were given for Inktober sucked, and I couldn't come up with anything. So I kind of combined both of my prompts with the other one. So like for clock was number 14. I haven't gotten that far yet, but clock, I had clock spider, and then it evolved into this. Instead of it being a whole clock like everybody else is drawing and just a hourglass, I wanted a spider, a black widow, but the black widow's markings are on the tummy. So I had this on the back side, kind of like a red back spider. And when the spider goes up and then spins down, the hourglass would change, type of thing. It's kind of hard to do in 2D, but it is what it is. Anyway, so let me stop jumping around. So this one right here was Precious. That was number 9. 10 was Flowing. I didn't want to just do water, but I found this beautiful pose of dancers doing making an 8 with their hands and with their arms, and I wanted that to be flowing, and I was sketching it out on the bus and haven't quite finished it yet because, life and time and whatnot. It was during the week, and so I stopped and had to play catch up a little bit. So this was Flowing. That was my concept for Flowing. Cruel. It's number 11. I wanted it to be, I didn't want to show the cruel things that I was coming up with in my mind, like people being lynched or things like that, torture and stuff like that. I wanted something a little bit more lighthearted, and so I decided to have this last act of defiance where someone has held a magnifying glass and was burning ants. And the fire from the ants are cruel, and then the last ant here is just kind of flipping them off. I don't know if you can see that very well. It's kind of dark, so I really didn't want to give it that much attention, and I didn't like the prompt. So it's like it's the negative ones are just like, I don't know. I just didn't like it. They were challenging, but I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. Whale, I don't draw whales, I don't draw those kind of animals. And then when I came up with an idea, this wasn't my original, well, this was my, just to get it out the way. So I did a killer whale, and I was going to have it kind of come out behind the Inktober logo with water and stuff like that, but it's not my interest. One of my ideas was to do a giant mermaid, but kind of in this kind of markings, like whale markings, maybe mermaids in that kind of whale look, but time, it is what it is. And I drew this one on the bus and colored it on the bus on my way to work and home. So that was my whale. Guarded was Cerberus as a puppy. I wanted him to be like a little Pomeranian, because those little dogs, I don't know, sometimes they can be lovable and everything, but sometimes they can be scary. And if you have 3-headed Pomeranian yipping at you, I don't know. But I figured that instead of just doing Cerberus guarding the gates of hell, Cerberus is a puppy guarding his little bowl. So I have his little name on here in bones, Cerberus, and then like a little 3-headed Pomeranian. And that was a challenge because I don't usually draw dogs and animals. So this challenge really does, this month is really challenging me to get away from people and anthropomorphic people, but I don't know, it was interesting. Alright, so that was Guarded, and I already showed you Clock, which was down here. This evolved into like having I saw Nicki Minaj's little outfit, and I'm like, oh my god, that would be so cute. So I drew her as a pretty death, and she's got all the sparkles, and she is doing clock with she's holding a sickle that has time on here, so depending, I guess, on how she's wielding it, the numbers would change. And then I've got like little spider webs coming off of it all, and then ultimately the clock is right here. So when it runs out, that's when you'll die. So there's that right there. That was Clock, but I also put behind it Swollen. Let's see, and that'll come in a bit. But this is a swollen graveyard. I was just going to have it just filled full of graves and just overflowing with death and just bloated with that. So that was going to be my Swollen. But I digress, because that's not number 6. That's not number 18. Okay, so I decided that I was going to flip it over and go on to the next things. Oh. Okay, so wait. Clock, and then Week. Week was number 15. This is number 15 right here. And this one here is Week. It's a snail girl that has decided she was going to upgrade her home. And she moved out of this place, and it's like a little for rent sign. And I took my time to design this because I wanted it to kind of come out cute, and I decided to decorate her home, her new home, but it's a little big for her. It's a double wide, and she has to carry it on her back, and her legs are about to give out, and they're just shaking all over the place. I should have had even wobblier lines, but that's what my week was. Angular, flipping it over, and swollen here was, swollen is number 17, so it'll go 16 then 17, but anyway, on to the back. I am behind, so I had drawn this on the bus on the day of, but I was tired, and this was on my way home, and I just started inking this one in. This one here was angular. I was thinking about doing, what is his name? Benedict Cumberbatch, because he's got these really sharp features, and I was going to have him have an angular face, but instead, you know, I wanted to do this like Art Deco, lots of angles, lots of triangles, and then I saw this ballerina, and I was like, oh my gosh, how beautiful would that be if it was a kimono, and she was doing a ballerina dance, or, you know, a pose, and her hands are basically going up this way. She's balancing on her toes, and the kimono comes down kind of like a triangle. So there's going to be a lot of repeats of triangles. Even her hair will have triangular features, along with her face would be triangular. So that's one of the ones that I'm working on. That's number 16. We already showed you 17, which was the Swollen Graveyard. 18, I started doing a little bit more inking to this. This one is Bottle. It's a genie coming out of a bottle, and I'm going to do like intricate marks and Zentangles on the bottle. And then, let's see, that was 18. 19 is Scorched. So I did a wizard, little wizard boy, who's kind of in love. And he's scorching a heart onto the ground. Alright, and that's Scorched. Breakable is where we are today. And I have not started that yet, and I will do that today on camera. I've got an idea of what I want to do, and I could sketch it out and then go through the motions of adding it onto the shirt. But I'm thinking about just going ahead and freehanding it on and inking it and ultimately coloring it. I don't know if I'll be doing it all today or if I'll be doing it today and tomorrow. I really should keep it simple. Drain is going to be an easy one for me. I'm combining that one with the 2 prompt lists together. So, but let's go ahead and get started with Breakable. First thing I do is I go ahead and get my things together here. Basically using an embroidery hoop, and all these little challenges here all need to fall within this hoop. I mean, I've got a whole shirt that I got to fill in for 31 days, and that's what I'm pretty much doing, is whatever falls within this hoop, I'm trying not to go too far out of it. But you know, things happen. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started. If you've never drawn like this or used an embroidery hoop, when you have it, this is one of the better ones because it's got a lip on it. But when you go in and you stick it in your shirt, you want to go ahead and slip this underneath the shirt, and you want this part to be close to the shirt where you're working on, part of the shirt that you're working on. It's got a little bit of depth to it, so I'm not worried about if I take my board out that it's going to leak immediately onto the other side. So that's one of the things I look for, is this lip, because it keeps it from sliding out, and I don't have to use anything to keep it clipped into place. So let me go ahead and slip this on in. And I think I will have this one be up at the top, and I guess I'll work my way down, maybe in a clock-like pattern. I'm not sure. I'm just going to stick it in there somewhere. Let's see. Dang. Or I could go down, and that gives me a little bit more space because I can play with some of the empty spaces in here. Let's see. It was Yeah, I'll stick it over here. No, but that's too many women. Yeah, I wanted to ultimately alternate between males and females. Let's see. I don't think that's going to give me enough space down here in between. Plus, this is around the sleeve. Is it from the sleeve area? No, it should be okay. Let me go ahead and slip it right here. I kind of want them all to merge into each other just a bit. Okay, I apologize. T-shirts have a pattern to them, so it'll probably look strange on the screen. You'll probably see like a whole bunch of lines and stuff like that. I don't see the lines because when you're looking at it with this thing, it shines the light on into all these grooves and stuff, and you see the pattern. But for me, it's like looking at a regular T-shirt, and it's not hard on the eyes at all. So I apologize. That's one of the downsides to drawing on T-shirts, is that if you try to record, you'll see those kind of grooves. Okay, so I slipped this other one in. This is the one that holds it into place. I kind of grip it from the bottom here just to give it a little bit more tension. Depending on the type of shirt you have, you may need to be very careful, because if it's got like a little tiny minute hole in it, because like if you buy it from like a pack from Walmart, sometimes you run the risk, or a dollar store, you run the risk of imperfect shirts, and you know, and they sell them for cheap. Okay, and then you just tighten it up here, or loosen it as you need it, you know, to get it on. You don't want it too tight, because once you take it off, you know, the shirt is stretched out, but once you take the hoop off, it'll shrink back into place. It'll distort your image, is basically what I'm trying to say. So you don't want it too tight, and you don't want it too loose. You want it kind of like a tambourine, where you can tap on it and it comes back up. That's enough tension on it so that it becomes like a flat drawing surface, almost like drawing on paper. Now, if with an image, I can put that underneath. That's one of the cool things about having a T-shirt, one of these thin shirts. The thinner the shirt is easier to see beneath it. So like if I was doing my old logo Velvet Monarch, I could slip it right underneath and trace it relatively easily. And if I had a light underneath it, I'd be able to see it as well. So if you ever need to transfer an image onto your shirt, I recommend doing it this way. You know, you have it nice and tight, but not too tight. This won't distort too badly, but if I keep pulling it, it'll become even more transparent. You'll be able to see deeper into it, and you know, it becomes, but it'll distort when it comes back together. Alright. I use a mounting board. I don't really need this, but it just adds a little bit more stability underneath it. It's cut to the size of the inner circle, and if I paint, I would, or if I have a lot of ink going on here that might hit the board and then smear or spread, I just drop it down a little bit. But it's almost like just drawing on regular paper now. It does have little grooves so that I can't go with really super thin pencils and stuff. So, and it helps to have your image be big. If your image is too small, because it's a T-shirt and you can only get as small as the tip of your pen can handle. Like this is as thin as this pen can handle. I'm not going to get any thinner, and if I have details that are smaller than this, they're just going to get muddied. Okay, so you want to try to draw large. Let's see. I use, to draw on my T-shirts, I usually use a 2B, any one of the B pencils actually. My favorite is using a 6 because it shows up very well. It's very dark. And they do wash out over time unless you treat it with a like Mod Podge, a sealant of some sort. You can draw with a regular pencil. This one is a 0.5. I don't recommend drawing with this one because it will get caught in here, but you can get really thin lines. The downside is my pen is thicker than this pencil. So I'd prefer to use like a duller pencil. A dull pencil will go across it a lot easier. You can't really erase that well. It just, let's see. Oh, I can't find my pencils. Give me one quick second. I'm looking for my pencils. You can't erase very well on here. So you want to be pretty much precise on what you want to draw. If you do make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. If you're doing it in pencil, eventually it will wash out. If it's a super big concern, draw with a lighter pencil. But be advised that if you draw with a lighter pencil, it'll be harder to see. Let's see, right here, this is a 2H pencil. It's not what I'm going to ultimately use. It's just the first thing that I picked up. It'll be hard to see the lines. I know I've got a pencil in my bag here. I apologize for not being prepared. Let's see. And then I've got a B pencil. Okay, this is a 2B pencil. Just came out of an Art Skills cheap dollar store pencil set. And I'm going to sketch out the idea that I'm going to do for this one for day 20. Let me get my Inktober prompt here. Yeah, day 20 is breakable. And one of the ideas that I had was coming up with what can be broken. And I love drawing fairies and fairy dust and all those little sparkly things. And it just looks crazy on this shirt. So, what I'm going to do, let's see, I gotta remember to draw big, and fairies are kind of small. So, let's see, I'll draw, right here I'm just sketching out, this is a 2H, and you see how it's coming out really light, so you might not see on camera very well what's happening, but here's a circle, and let me see if I can see what you're seeing. Let me see if it's dark enough. It's really faint, so I'll use this as for my faint lines, and then I'll darken it with my B pencil. This is what a B pencil kind of looks like. Let me, because I need to keep in mind where the eyes are going to be. So about right here. Let me draw the rest of the form. Okay, so my idea is to have a child pulling off the wings of a butterfly. This is kind of cruel. This should have been cruel. But instead of it being a regular butterfly, this is going to be a fairy. So I need to get my fairy in here. She's a big fairy here. I guess it's perspective. Let's see. This is my H pencil. And what I do is, when I draw, I try to use simple shapes, and then I'll define those shapes with the actual thing. And I just got to keep in mind, I can't erase. I can, but it would look nasty. It would just smear. So if you're sketching onto your shirt, draw lightly. Okay, so I'll have one of her wings out like this, being pulled. So it's not being pulled off. It's like she just wanted to touch it. This is a big fairy. So I'll make the girl bigger. It could be that she's just closer to us. And I think I'll have it be cartoonish so it doesn't look too bad. It's like never touch the wings of a butterfly. Because even though we think our touch is going to be very gentle, it might not be to the butterfly. And there's very few things that aren't eating it. There we go. Have that go out. That would reach out and touch it. Now I could have the little girl surprised that she's pulled the wing off, so it's kind of like an accident type of thing. But I don't know. We'll see how. Sometimes my pictures evolve. Sometimes for good. Sometimes for, you know, happy accident. Onto instead of what I think it's going to be. So a little girl could end up being a monster. Could be an elf who's never seen a butterfly before up close, or a fairy up close. Sometimes stories come to me as I'm drawing. Okay, and you can get away with pencils like this because they're fat. But this pencil right here, this is a 0.5, and I'll show you what happens. It just kind of catches. Like in one direction it'd be fine, but in another direction it is just catching like a bad dog. So, and I can only imagine what people on my bus were hearing. Is like, what is this scratching sound? But it does give you really, really cool, let me see, really cool smaller detail lines. But unfortunately that's not what I need right now. Okay, so I'm going to switch to my B pencil so you can start seeing some of the details form. And remember, if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. Just don't ink it in. But even if you do, find some way to make it work for you. You can put a design, cover it with hair, you know, just to kind of distract. Or just sort of incorporate it into the picture if you make a mistake. Now I've been drawing ever since I was a kid, and now I'm 47. So I've been drawing all that time. And I never thought that I would be drawing all that time. Not as a kid. You know, as a kid, we all start out kind of the same. We try to draw what's in our memory. Sometimes we try to draw what we see in life. I didn't have any formal training until, let's see, I want to say not until I went to college. That's when, but before I was enrolled in school, in art school, I came in with all that knowledge of how to hold a pencil. What I did is, you know, because when I was a kid, there was no Facebook, there was no YouTube. You know, when people communicated, when I was a little kid, I mean little kid, we had CB radios. You know, the kind of radios that cops would have, guys that drove trucks, the kind that they would have. And we would have CB handles, like I was the Velvet Princess. And you know, sometimes if I had to call my mom or my dad, I can get on a CB radio because they had a CB in their car. And that it's called, CB stands for Citizens Band. And it was just pretty much like an AOL chat room. Everybody can hear. It had different channels that you could talk on. It wasn't really regulated, and it was common knowledge that you weren't allowed to chat on the police band, because police had their own CB channel. So like if you were in trouble, you can contact that, and you know, contact the cops, but you know, you'd also get in trouble because that's not for you. Eventually that died out, and people have cell phones. Computers were still on, you know, as big as buildings. That was like the Whopper computer that you kind of see in what is it called, War Games. If you want a good idea of what computers look like when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, watch the movie War Games, and you'll see exactly the technology that, and that was top of the line back then, which is really freaking amazing. But anyway, I digress. I just didn't have the same social medias and stuff like that. If I wanted to draw nudes, I'd have to find somebody's Playboy, or look at old, what do you call it, old, you know, the old masters, you know, that would have sculptures and paintings and things like that. I thought I was going to make her into an elf, but nah. Well, maybe it's not too late. We'll have an elven girl. It could be a boy, but she's kind of feminine, so we'll have it be a little girl. We'll put little flowers around her hair, or she could be a dark elf. You know, who knows? I don't know. Anyway, we'll come up. We can come up with the story or the narrative to justify the picture in a sec, or before the video's over. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, it's like just drawing randomly. You can come up with all kinds of stories and story ideas, and it's kind of cool. Oh, someone's calling. Give me one quick second. Alrighty. So, okay. Let's see. So my fairy is just a little too big for it being a fairy. I wanted it kind of smaller, so I'm going to make it smaller, but I'm kind of torn. If I make it too small, my pencils, my marker, well, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how small I can get these details. Let me zoom in so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to be doing the face on here. I'm just going to do a quick doodle of what I want on the face, you know, just to make sure I have the right proportions and stuff. Because usually a fairy's like tiny, Tinkerbellish size. At least the typical one would be. This one I think is going to be about Barbie doll size in relation to a little girl. So I can understand where, you know, it would be kind of cool to have your own little living Barbie. So maybe that's what she's doing is, these little wings are in the way. But I think that the fairy's going to have a different take on it. I'm using a number, I think this is 0.5. Yeah, this is a 0.5 pencil, and I'm going to have to use maybe a 0.5 pen to get these details and to keep these details. Another time when I should have drawn bigger. But like I said, I got to stay within my boundaries here, at least so that I can fit in all my images. And what I'm drawing now is her hands on her face. She's pretty horrified. It's like, what is this girl gonna do to me? But maybe the girl's just curious. It's like, if I touch a fairy's wings, is it going to die? Let's find out. But yeah, basically I usually start off with some basic shapes to get what I need. Sometimes I have an idea so I can find source images, but sometimes you know, I have to combine source images. I'm not using any source images for the fairy per se. Actually, no, that's not true. I've got 3 source images. One for like the expression, and but I'm kind of taking liberties with the eyes, because I really want this fairy to look horrified. Okay, give me a second. I've got to find a pen that would be small enough to accommodate what I want to do. And it's in my backpack. Of course it is. Let's see. Okay, there's one. There's another. I think this one's blue. This one might work. See, this one is 0.5, but I need the 0.005. Let's see if I can find that. Now the 0.005 is very thin, very tiny, and it gives me like super tiny lines. I gotta find it first. And I have so many pens. It's so funny. I ride my bike to work, and I wear a backpack, and my backpack is filled with nothing but markers and pens and a couple pencils. Because it's like I hate to go anywhere and not have what I need on me. And it's just frustrating. So it's like I want to be prepared, but being prepared means I'm carrying all these pencils and pens and markers and sometimes paints and glitter. And I have 1 hour to do what I want to do. And I cannot find my pens. Okay, so let's see what I've got. This is what I've got to work with. This one right here is a Sharpie pen, and it's super tiny. I don't usually recommend using Sharpies, but this one seems to be pretty good. I am not sure if it's going to fade on me or wash out. I doubt if it's going to wash out. And in case it does, just as insurance, I'm going to add maybe another color or whatnot in here if it happens to just about wash out. Okay, I have no idea from this point what I'm going to do with her hair. Let me see how small this other one gets. Now this one here is a point. It's a 1 point, so it's a little bit bigger than my 5 point, 0.05. I love these markers. This is the Pentel gel roller for fabric, and for some reason Pentel is not making these anymore. These things are the bomb. Okay, it looks like I can get away with this, so I'm going to go ahead and use this for some of my fine details. Okay, I've got her looking really scared. I'm going to throw some little expression lines in here. Now her mouth, I'm going to have like open, and her teeth are going to be right here, and she's going to be pretty much biting her fingers here. She's scared that she's going to rip it off. So this is Breakable, and this little fairy creature is definitely fragile, definitely breakable. And her wings are, I want to see if I can try to make them as delicate as possible. And I think I'm going to use like a monarch type of pattern. So maybe she's like a little monarch fairy. There we go. I still don't know what kind of hair I want to give her or anything like that. Putting her shoulders as close to the head, because I want her to look like she's bent over. Okay, let's see. I want something kind of fairy-like on her head, like as if she's wearing a hat of some sort. So, maybe I was thinking maybe a strawberry. I don't want her to look like Strawberry Shortcake. That character. I just wanted to kind of look wild, like she's wearing something natural. Maybe a flower or a rose or something on her head. And I think with the wings, some fairies have like multiple wings. So maybe some auxiliary wings right there. Let's see, and I want to kind of copy the monarch. They've got this little detail here. Does it go all the way around? It appears that it does. So let me go ahead and then it gets like kind of dark there. Let's see. Let me see if I can find something that looks wild. Like, let's see. I'm thinking maybe either a flower that's upside down, like a buttercup of some sort, or see, braids are kind of natural, so she can be kind of like a tribal look. Let's see. Ooh, let's see. She's gonna have to have the. Let's see. I'm thinking about giving her like antlers. So maybe she's got like but I don't want her to be like a warrior in this one. This one I want her to seem kind of vulnerable. Let's see. I want her wings to be very delicate. So instead of her maybe pulling the wings off, maybe trying to touch it. But they are very fragile wings. It's like, hey, I need these to fly. It's so pretty. Okay, I gotta be very careful. This point 5 pencil is sharp and very, very thin, so I have to make sure I stay. Oh, there it goes. And I only really like drawing with a 0.5. I don't like the 0.7s. My son, who likes to draw manga type things, he's trying to draw his own manga. He likes drawing with a 7. And I don't like it that thick. And I'm just trying to put some variation in my lines, the shape of the wings here. And I think I'm going to add glitter, maybe some gold glitter or something, maybe to make this look gossamer. I don't know. If I stick with the yellow and brown colors, I don't think it looks as, I don't know. I think gossamer wings would probably look a lot more fragile than a monarch's wings. Let me see. I should have these wings come down. Let's see. Too late now. Actually, it's not too late. Okay, let's see. And let me see if I can find either an acorn. An acorn would be cool. Let's see if I can find an acorn. And just put that on her head. Let's see. Acorn. Let's see. I might have used an acorn before. Maybe some sort of nut. I just like how it has this round to it. I'll have it kind of off to the side here. Oops. Maybe an oversized acorn. Let's see. I'm hoping I didn't cover up what would make this look. Let's see. I don't want to make her look, I want her to be looking scared. Let's see. I just want to give it a little bit of texture around the edges. And then, let's see. Do I want to do curly hair or straight hair? Let's see. I think I'll do curly hair, because the girl here looks like she's got straight hair. So let's give her like this really curly hair. And we'll have it so fluffy and curly all around the outside here. I'm gonna have it try to go under the acorn. And just to be weird, we'll just have it like have its own little defying gravity thing. Okay. Alrighty, let's see. So, okay, let's throw some more music on. Let's see. How about, let's see if there's anything like kind of, well, that's different. World and Country. I've never listened to what they had for World and Country. There we go. Let's see what this sounds like. Okay, I don't hear anything. Let me refresh. There we go. I'm taking some liberties. I guess the only thing I'm really borrowing from a monarch butterfly is this pattern here. Where it has like around the edges. I think that's where I'll put some glitter, and maybe I'll have glitter falling, so like when you don't touch their wings, because maybe it's losing a little bit of magic. Okay. I have to add the eye shine to that eye. Let's see. Like, I was coming up with this idea that if I would have put like a little breeze in, where like maybe the hair is moving, maybe some of the magic would like fly away, type of thing, with the breeze. Let's see, we'll just have the fairy be normal, or the little girl be normal. And let the fairy like capture her imagination. I was watching Alfonso Dunn, and he was coming up with 10 ideas on how to survive Inktober. And if you can, see if you can catch it if you plan on participating. I really want to take his advice on some of the, like maybe an upcoming challenge, maybe next year's Inktober, if I feel like driving myself nuts. But I think one of the ideas that he came up with is to have a theme, and have that theme run through your Inktober. So maybe that could be a children's book type of thing. I was thinking of that maybe I would take and develop characters as I'm drawing, and then have them play out in the prompts as the story. And maybe have a few words on maybe what I was thinking as the story line and whatnot as it progressed and stuff like that in my head. But it's interesting. Now this has evolved into a little girl kind of in a hoodie, touching the wing ever so gently, as gently as she possibly can. So she really doesn't mean any harm. And as much as I can't stand the prompts where they're negative, I don't want too much negativity in my drawing. I'm going to be wearing this shirt, so I don't, I have a couple little scary things on here, but I'd rather them be considered more whimsical than kind of horrifying. Still got to figure out what I want to put on this fairy. Now, one of the ideas I had was to, oops, you probably didn't see any of the stuff that I was doing on the sides there. Let me lift this back up so you guys can see what I'm doing. And I apologize for that. I wasn't looking at my recorder here. I've switched from my GoPro to something called a V4K camera, and I have a little bit more control over it, and I can actually see, what what you guys are missing. And I apologize for that. Hopefully I didn't leave off too much. Just got to remember that I got to stay within my boundaries here. Let me turn this back around so I can see it a little better. Let's see. That was part of this. Okay. Now, if she's wearing an acorn, maybe she should be wearing leaves too. So let me see. There's the leaf, and we'll have her wear maybe a leaf dress. I always see it come down kind of like how, what's her name? Tinkerbell would wear her stuff. But I'm wondering if I can do a different design. Let's see, I can go sideways instead of going down. So let's see, the stems. And just have it like come across at an angle instead of, let's see. I may as well just go straight for it. Okay. I'm not going to be able to erase anyway. and just have it go across her body like that. And have the next one do the same. Okay, let's see. And we'll have it end like right there. All right. Let's see. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, let's see. And I'll just darken up my lines a little bit more, so you guys can see what's going on. Let's see. Let's see, there's that finger. Have her hair come down a little bit too. Okay,